Start your day with this mindset. Kindness is my superpower. You will feel the shift. You will speak more softly, not out of weakness, but because you don't need to shout to be heard. You will respond more slowly, not out of indifference, but because you value peace over being right. And you will lead with patience, not because you don't care, but because you understand that transformation takes time, your own and everyone else's. Have you ever blinked and realized an entire week has flown by? Not in a poetic, life is beautiful way, but in a slightly disorienting way, as in, where did the time go? 1 minute you're sipping your morning coffee, and the next you're buried under a mountain of notifications, meetings, and responsibilities you barely remember taking on. It's as if the day slipped away without permission, leaving you scrambling to catch up. They understood it better than anyone. They practiced a daily reminder of mortality, not to be grim or depressing, but to be awake. Because when you realize nothing is guaranteed, not tomorrow, not even the next hour, you begin to treat the present moment with greater respect. Time takes on a different meaning when we consider how little of it we truly use. We spend so much of it mourning the past or worrying about the future. Rarely do we simply exist. So here's your reminder. Say it to yourself as if you mean it. This moment is all I have, so I am going to fully inhabit it. Not tomorrow, not later. Right now. This cup of coffee, this quiet space before the children wake, this conversation you're having with a friend where, for once, no one is looking at their phone. Life isn't waiting to begin. It is happening right now. And if you aren't fully engaged, you aren't just losing time, you are missing your life. They spoke of flourishing, of living a good and meaningful life. This wasn't tied to some distant goal or external success. It was tied to virtue and action, how you live each moment, how you show up with integrity, awareness, and intention. To enjoy the present doesn't mean ignoring your responsibilities. It means learning to fully experience wherever you are, even in the difficult moments. Being present is hard. It's much easier to distract yourself, to stay busy, to always be thinking about what's next. But when you practice presence, you stop giving your power away. You stop being pulled by urgency and start choosing clarity. Genuine happiness is about savoring the present without anxiously depending on the future. That's it. It's not merely about surviving, but about truly enjoying. And enjoyment doesn't have to be loud or dramatic. It can be found in stillness, in quiet appreciation, in the pause between things. So tomorrow, or even right now as you read this, pause. Take one deep breath. Feel it travel through your chest. Notice where your feet are. Notice what you hear, smell, taste, and touch. Be where you are, not where you think you need to be. The moment you wake each morning holds a quiet power. That first conscious breath, the simple act of opening your eyes. This is the fundamental baseline of being human. Gratitude for this basic state is far more than a pleasant attitude. It is a direct counter to feelings of entitlement and anxiety. It pulls you out of the swirling thoughts in your head and firmly plants you in the present. Most people, however, climb out of bed and immediately switch to autopilot. They are met with notifications, noise, and mental clutter, reacting to external demands before they have even fully arrived in their own minds. The truth is stark. If you do not deliberately direct your attention first thing in the morning, the world will eagerly direct it for you. When you wake and let your mind race ahead, stressing over work, people, or problems, you are not truly living. You are merely surviving, already playing defense against the day. Gratitude disrupts that entire pattern. It acts as an anchor before the storm can even begin. We often forget how rare and fragile this experience of life truly is. We default to complaints, comparisons, and distraction until an unexpected event, a diagnosis, an accident, a loss, shatters our illusion of permanence. When you genuinely understand that nothing is guaranteed, gratitude ceases to be a mere morning ritual and becomes a vital mindset for survival. The practice can be profoundly simple. Upon waking, take 3 slow, deep breaths. That is all. Feel the air fill your lungs and leave your body. Place a hand over your heart to reconnect with your physical self and silently acknowledge, I am grateful to be here. Not to perform, not to impress, but simply to be. Perhaps the examined life is not only about asking deep questions, but also about practicing deep presence. You do not need a sophisticated journal or a perfect meditation routine. You need a clear, intentional thought. This is enough. This moment is sufficient. From that seed of sufficiency, you begin to grow into a person who does not need chaos to feel alive. You start your day with quieter strength, one rooted in stillness rather than speed. There is a vast difference between beginning your day under pressure and beginning it with purpose. One feels like drowning, the other like clarity. This shift begins with a single, deliberate intention. When you wake with gratitude, you stop chasing peace throughout the day because you have already found its starting point. Think of it as tuning your internal frequency. When you are attuned to appreciation, the things that normally irritate you, traffic, interruptions, delays, lose their grip. You are no longer reacting from a sense of lack, but responding from a sense of wholeness. Notice how the initial moments after waking set the tone for everything that follows. Most people reach for their phones, scan messages, or begin worrying about tasks before they have even taken a full breath. Yet, how you speak to yourself in that early quiet is incredibly powerful. It shapes your energy, your mindset, and how you meet the world. Those seconds of stillness between sleep and action are when your mind is most open and impressionable. What you feed it in that moment either fortifies your core or invites in chaos. If you consistently wake feeling stressed, overwhelmed, or lost in the noise, you are not alone. But you do have a choice. This is where a practical philosophy enters, not as a dusty academic exercise, but as a daily tool for living. It begins with recognizing the privilege of the new day and choosing from that very first breath to inhabit it fully. The Stoics understood that the way you start your day is a form of training for your inner self. If you do not deliberately anchor your own mind, the world will do it for you, and the world rarely has your best interests at heart. If you are tired of mornings that feel rushed and reactive, if you want to stop allowing yesterday's troubles or tomorrow's anxieties to hijack your present, then consider these 5 simple phrases, daily truths you can speak to yourself that change everything. They take less than a minute, yet their effect is profound, personal, and empowering. First, I am grateful to be here. We spend so much time chasing after things: success, clarity, love, money, solutions. But we rarely pause long enough to appreciate the one thing we already possess: this moment. This isn't about skimming past a motivational quote. It is about acknowledging the quiet, overlooked miracle of simply waking up, breathing, and opening your eyes to a new day that remains unwritten. You did not earn it. It was never guaranteed. Yet here it is. That is power. That is grace. Your real strength does not begin with what you achieve, but with how deeply you recognize the gift of being alive. Before anything else, before checking messages, reviewing tasks, or even having coffee, pause and tell yourself, I am grateful to be here. Not because life is perfect or polished, but because it is present. You are still in the game. You still have time to grow, to make amends, to take chances, to speak truthfully, and to live with integrity. You do not need to wait for ideal circumstances to feel whole. Gratitude returns a sense of control to you. It tells your mind, I do not need to have everything figured out to be okay. I do not need external validation to feel aligned. That is emotional resilience. That is maturity. That is becoming someone whom the world cannot easily shake. Psychological research supports this. Regular gratitude practice rewires the brain for greater long-term well-being. Studies from leading institutions confirm that people who practice daily gratitude consistently report higher levels of optimism, better sleep, and even stronger immune responses. It is not that their lives are easier. It is that their focus is different. Where others see problems, they see potential. Where others rush, they pause. It all begins with that internal reset button you press each morning. This is not mystical promise. It is cause and effect. When you are centered, your decisions improve. When you operate from gratitude, you attract people who resonate with that same energy. When you are grounded, you are less likely to be manipulated, distracted, or thrown off course. You not only show up differently, you attract different opportunities. So before your day gets taken over by demands and overwhelm, Claim those first few seconds, not with pressure or planning, but with presence. I'm grateful to be here. Say it. Feel it. Let it soften your breath and widen your perspective. The phrase may seem small, but it has the power to recalibrate your entire system. Because gratitude is not passive, it is potent. It is how you take control before the world gets the chance. It is the shift from merely existing to truly living. The more you practice, the clearer it becomes. This moment right now is the foundation for everything else. Not your goals, not your schedule, not even your coffee. Just this breath, this awareness, this life. Say it with me now, and then say it every morning before the noise and the hurry begin. I am grateful to be here. That is your true reset, and that is where your transformation starts. 2. Yesterday does not own me. Have you ever noticed how some people wake up already tired? It's not because they didn't sleep, but because they never let go of yesterday. Their bodies rested, but their minds kept spinning, replaying everything that didn't go well. That thing they wish they'd said differently. That moment they wish never happened. It simply repeats in their heads, like a song stuck on repeat. And whether they realize it or not, they're dragging all of that into a brand new day. It's like trying to run a race while carrying yesterday's suitcase. Sooner or later, you'll stumble. Let's be honest, we carry too much weight from the day before. The awkward conversation, the missed deadline, the silly mistake. And sometimes, it's not just our own stuff. We also carry the moods, judgments, and expectations of other people. We let the shadow of what was follow us straight into what could be. But here's what most people forget. You are not meant to relive yesterday. You are meant to learn from it, and then leave it where it belongs. That's the real test. Not perfection, but release. So start here. Remind yourself every morning, yesterday does not own me. Say it as if you mean it. Say it as if your peace depends on it, because it does. That phrase may not erase the past, but it separates you from it. It draws a line between what happened and what you are choosing now. And that line, that is freedom. That is your reset. What happened yesterday can explain your pain, but it does not define your path. You decide what story you tell yourself today. You choose whether to carry shame or strength, and that's the part many people overlook. They replay the worst moments of their life as if they were unfinished business. But at some point, you have to close that book and write the next chapter. Yesterday may have been a disaster. Maybe you said the wrong thing, lost your cool, or missed an opportunity. Well, what now? Will you live there forever, or will you take what you learned and move forward stronger, sharper, clearer? Think of it this way. Each day is like a fresh page, but if you keep scribbling yesterday's story onto today's page, you'll never be able to write anything new. That's why letting go is not weakness. It's wisdom. It's emotional discipline. It's the decision to say, I will not waste today fighting battles I've already lost or trying to fix things that no longer exist. That is a strength most people underestimate. The strength to stop picking at the same wound. Examining life is essential, but that doesn't mean digging into the past until it bleeds again. To examine doesn't mean to relive. It means to observe, understand, and then release. Take the lesson. Leave the weight behind. And if that sounds too simple, ask yourself, what has holding on to yesterday really done for you? Has it healed you? Has it helped? Or has it only made your present heavier than it needs to be? Now, here's something practical. Imagine the thoughts you carry, regret, guilt, shame, as stones in a backpack. Every morning, before you get out of bed, close your eyes and imagine taking that backpack off. Visualize it sliding from your shoulders and hitting the floor. Feel your body relax. Let this visualization become a ritual, because when you let go physically in your mind, your nervous system gets the message. We are safe. We are free. We are starting clean. Habit shapes character. So what if you made this process of letting go into a habit? It's not a one-time event, but a muscle you exercise daily. The more you practice release, the easier it becomes to separate your identity from your old wounds. You stop being the person who always makes mistakes or always falls behind. you start becoming the person who bounces back quickly, forgives faster, and chooses peace on purpose. And it's not just about the big moments. Sometimes we carry small things we didn't even realize were weighing us down. The tone in someone's text, something we overheard, a passive-aggressive comment that irked us. Little things that pile up until we don't even know why we feel so tense. That's why this practice matters daily. Not only when you've had a breakdown, but every morning. Check in, then let go. The beginning is the most important part of the work, and it's true. Starting your day carrying the weight of the past means every action, word, and choice is filtered through that residue. But beginning with presence and release brings clarity. It brings power. Do not bring yesterday's noise into today's silence. So here is the shift. Stop treating each day as a continuation of your worst memory. That is unfair to you and to your growth. Yesterday had its chance. Today is yours. It is your duty to yourself to show up fully. Not halfway, not haunted, not on autopilot. Say it again. Yesterday does not own me. That is not denial. That is direction. It is choosing healing over hurt. It is remembering that your future is not built on the wreckage of your past, but on the decisions you make now. So choose presence, choose peace, choose to release the weight, and then live as if you mean it. It's easy to feel life slipping out of control these days. One moment you're having coffee, the next you're drowning in texts, news updates, messages, meetings, and then come the thoughts. Fast, loud, demanding your attention. It's as if your mind opens its own app and starts clicking on tabs you never opened. Before you know it, you are no longer thinking. You are being thought. You are reacting, chasing every feeling, every worry, every what if. It's exhausting, and it's a trap. That's why your morning matters. Before the world wakes and starts shouting, there is a small window of silence, a pause. What you do in that pause sets the tone for everything. So here is your anchor. Tell yourself, I control my mind. Say it before your phone, before your tasks, before your thoughts start spinning. Say it with conviction, because when you affirm that truth early, you build a shield that lasts all day. Most people spend the day completely outward focused, pulled along by noise, comparison, ego, and status. But the moment you turn your gaze inward, even for 60 seconds, you begin to awaken. You realize not every emotion is true, and not every thought deserves your attention. Your mind may be busy, but you don't have to be. Here's something simple you can try. First thing in the morning, sit and be still. 1 minute, nothing fancy, no music, no scrolling. Just you and your breath. Inhale slowly, exhale even slower. And as thoughts come, and they will, let them pass like clouds. Don't hold on to them. Don't judge them. Just breathe. That space between stimulus and response, that is where your power resides. That is where you remember, I am not my thoughts. I am the one watching them. Every time you catch yourself spiraling, overthinking, reacting, you have a choice. Will you let your mind drag you, or will you steer it? Will you be the driver or just the passenger? This isn't about becoming a monk on a mountain. It's about practical command in a noisy world. It's about choosing your mood instead of being hijacked by it. You don't have to answer every call. You don't have to feed every fear. You don't have to let every small inconvenience ruin your peace. Peace is not passive. It's a decision. And the more you choose to claim it, the more natural it becomes. Your mindset isn't something you inherit. It's something you train. Neuroscience tells us our brains are not fixed. They are plastic. They rewire based on what you focus on. So the secret to change is to concentrate your energy, not on fighting the old, but on building the new. And the new begins with you declaring, this is the direction I am moving. This is the tone I am setting. This is the mindset I choose. If you spend your entire morning reacting, staring at the news, comparing and complaining, your brain becomes more accustomed to stress. But if you spend your mornings grounding yourself, breathing, making conscious choices, and observing, your brain gets better at being calm. You literally train yourself for peace. It's often said that we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not a single act, but a habit. Consider this. You don't become mentally strong overnight. You achieve it by choosing the same intention each morning. I control my mind. That becomes your reputation. That is your discipline. And just like lifting a weight, over time it becomes easier. So the next time, your mind begins to pull you toward doubt, toward anger, toward distraction, pause, breathe, and remember. The fact that a thought appears does not mean you have to follow it. Just because something is loud does not mean it is true. Your inner voice, when trained, is stronger than all the outside noise combined. But you must choose it. And yes, you will slip up. You will have days when your mind takes control and you forget all of this. That's okay. Don't judge it. Just return. The goal is not perfection. It is awareness. True growth is not in never slipping. The key is in realizing it sooner, when you do, and returning more quickly to who you truly are. So tomorrow morning, before the emails, before the headlines, before the world asks for your attention, sit with yourself. Close your eyes. Inhale calm. Exhale chaos, and say it out loud or in your heart. I control my mind. Let that be your compass. Let that be your center. Because the world can be noisy, but you are louder when you choose to be. And that is how you reclaim your power each day. There is something magnetic about people who enter a room and bring a sense of calm with them. They don't need to speak loudly or dominate the space. Their presence simply feels grounded. You feel safe around them, as if their energy isn't trying to prove anything, and you wonder how they do it. The answer isn't fame, money, or some sophisticated self-help routine. It's something much simpler and far more powerful. It is kindness, genuine goodness, the kind that isn't performative, the kind rooted in inner strength, not in weakness. Have you ever met someone whose energy simply feels peaceful? That is not an accident. That is intentional. It begins with this daily decision. Kindness is my superpower. Not in a soft, ethereal tone, but in a real, practical way. Because being kind does not mean being passive. It does not mean letting people walk over you or avoiding hard truths. In fact, it is the opposite. True kindness requires self-control. It requires discipline. What can even the most malicious person do if you treat them with kindness and stand firm? That is the balance. Gentle but not fragile. Soft-spoken but not silent. In the modern world, we often mistake harshness for strength, as if being cold or distant somehow proves you are in control. But the strongest person is not the one who controls others. It is the one who controls themselves. Kindness is a form of self-mastery. It means you have developed enough awareness to pause before reacting, enough humility to listen before judging, and enough courage to extend grace, even when it is not deserved. Knowing your own darkness is the best method for dealing with the darkness in other people. That hits hard, doesn't it? Because we all have that inner storm, the insecurities, the hurt, the fear. And when we see it in others, we often forget they are fighting their own version of what we face. Kindness bridges that gap. It isn't about being overly positive or pretending everything is fine. It is about choosing to see the humanity in people, even when it is buried under layers of defensiveness or anger. Start your day with that mindset, and you will feel the change. You will speak more softly, not because you are weak, but because you don't need to shout to be heard. You will react more slowly, not because you are indifferent, but because you value peace more than being right. And you will lead with patience, not because you don't care, but because you understand that transformation takes time. Yours and everyone else's. Be kind, because every person you meet is fighting a hard battle. That isn't just poetry, it is reality. Most of the pain people project has nothing to do with you. It is their own struggles, their own wounds, their own unresolved stories. When you operate from that awareness, you stop taking things so personally. You begin to look beyond the surface. That rude comment is fear, that passive aggression is insecurity, that silence is likely pain. Kindness does not mean excusing poor behavior, but rather responding with clarity instead of ego. This is where it becomes truly practical. Picture one kind thing you will do today. Seriously, choose something right now. Maybe it's offering a compliment to someone who seems down. Maybe it's pausing to truly listen when another person speaks. Maybe it's sending a text to a friend just to say you're thinking of them. No matter how small, it all matters. That act might be the only good thing someone experiences today. And what's surprising is that it will likely do more for you than for them. Because every kind action reinforces your identity as someone who leads with intention, not impulse. Excellence is not a single act, but a habit. The same is true of kindness. It is not about waiting until you are in the perfect mood or until someone deserves it. It is about consciously choosing who you want to be, turning that choice into practice, and repeating it until it becomes your nature. And when it becomes your nature, your presence changes. You no longer enter rooms trying to get something. You arrive ready to offer something. That is a different kind of power, a deeper kind. Yes, people may misunderstand you. They might mistake your patience for passivity or your calm for indifference. But here's the key. You are not doing it for them. You do it because it aligns with your values. You do it because it reflects the person you are building. And the truth is, nothing creates as much long-term influence as consistent kindness, not charm, intellect, hustle, or even likability. The ancient philosophers were not weak. They were warriors of the mind. They faced hardship, betrayal, and loss, and still believed in leading with virtue. For them, kindness was not an accessory. It was fundamental, the cornerstone of a well-lived life. When you understand that, you stop looking for applause. You stop trying to prove your worth. You simply live it, quietly, consistently, and completely. So tomorrow morning, before the day carries you away, pause, center yourself, and remind your mind that kindness is your superpower. Not because you need people to like you, but because it is who you choose to be. Then go out and live as someone who is not afraid to be good. It is not soft, it is strong. That is what leaves a mark. That is what rewrites the energy in a room. And most often, that is what ends up changing people, starting with you. Have you ever blinked and realized an entire week has flown by? Not in a poetic, life is beautiful way, but in a slightly jarring, where did the time go way? 1 minute you're sipping your morning coffee, the next you're buried under a mountain of notifications, meetings, and responsibilities you barely remember taking on. It feels like the days slipped away without permission, leaving you behind trying to catch up. That is modern life for many of us. Fast, loud, demanding. But here is something that cuts through all that noise. Everything is temporary, and that truth doesn't have to frighten you. It's meant to wake you up. Stress is temporary. Pressure is temporary. Even joy, peace, the good things, they are fleeting too. That is what makes them precious. The philosophers understood this better than most. They practiced a daily reminder of mortality, not to be morbid, but to become conscious. Because when you realize nothing is guaranteed, not tomorrow, not even the next hour, you begin to treat the present moment with more respect. Much of our time is spent regretting the past or worrying about the future. We rarely simply exist, but presence is a skill, a discipline, something you must train just like you train your body or your mind. The ability to be in the present moment is a major component of mental well-being. It makes sense, doesn't it? Most of our anxiety lives in the future. Most of our pain lives in the past. But the present, that is where your feet actually are. That is where your breath lives. That is where your power exists. Yet we are so distracted that we miss it. We miss the sunlight streaming through the window, the taste of our morning meal, the feeling in the air right before a storm. These small moments, overlooked by so many, are everything. So here is your reminder. Say it to yourself as if you mean it. This moment is all I have, so I am going to enjoy it. Not tomorrow, not later. Right now, this cup of coffee, this quiet space before the children wake, this conversation you're having with a friend, where for once, no one is looking at their phone. Life isn't waiting to begin. It is happening right now. And if you are not fully engaged, you are not just wasting time, you are missing your life. The concept of flourishing, of living a good and meaningful life, was not tied to some distant goal or external success. It was linked to virtue in action, how you live each moment, how you show up with integrity, awareness, and intention. To enjoy the present does not mean ignoring your responsibilities. It means learning to fully experience whatever moment you find yourself in, even the difficult ones. Let's be honest, presence is hard. It is much easier to get distracted, to stay busy, to always be thinking about what comes next. Because when you sit with yourself, that is where the real work begins. That inner quiet, a kind of serene calm, undisturbed by the outside world, is one of the fastest ways to access peace. It is about slowing down and observing where you are. Whether brushing your teeth or watching the wind move through the trees, allow yourself to be there. This isn't about pretending life isn't stressful. It absolutely is. The world will continue to move fast. People will still absorb your time and energy. But when you practice presence, you stop surrendering your power. You stop being pulled by urgency and choose clarity instead. True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxiously depending on the future. That's it. Not just surviving, but enjoying. And enjoyment doesn't have to be loud or dramatic. It can be found in stillness, in quiet appreciation, in the pause between things. So tomorrow, or even right now as you read this, pause. Take a deep breath. Feel it travel through your chest. Notice where your feet are. Notice what you hear, smell, taste, and touch. Be where you are, not where you think you need to be. Presence is power because it returns you to yourself. Not the version of you that is performing, not the version that is planning or regretting. Just you, here. Consider this. No matter where you go or what you do, if you cannot be present, nothing will satisfy you. Not success, not status, not escape. That is why presence is not optional. It is essential. If you want more fulfillment, more connection, more peace, it doesn't come from doing more. It comes from noticing more. It comes from paying attention. It comes from choosing to enjoy the small things as they happen, instead of missing them and wishing you had paid attention. This moment, this one right here, is already slipping away. Not dramatically, but quietly, as it always does. So hold it a little longer, value it a little more deeply, and remind yourself often, everything is temporary, so I will enjoy this moment. That mindset doesn't just slow time down, it lengthens it, making it richer and more meaningful. And in time, you begin to realize this moment was never small. It was everything. It only required you to notice. So as you move through your day today, whatever it brings, carry this truth with you. Peace is not found in the next moment. It is found in this one, right here, right now.